Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got episode 13 of NBA Playoff Watch, and let me tell you, this playoff race has been probably the best in a couple of years. I mean, this has been the best playoff race I've seen in a while. We got a bunch of teams, 1 through 10 in both conferences, still fighting for seeding. We know the 10 teams in each conference, but we don't know what order they will be in. It's very interesting to look at. We got about 2 games left, or maybe 3 for some teams. In the regular season. And yeah, we're going to look at each conference's standings as of right now and then put them into a playoff bracket and make our picks if the season were to end today. As always, if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, leave a like on this video if you enjoy, and comment down below what you think. Discord X linked in the description. Join that, follow that. One more thing, we do college basketball, college football, NFL, and MLB along with NBA, so if you're interested in any of that stuff, make sure you go on there, subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss when we upload. But with all that being said, let's look at the Eastern Conference. Now, the East is pretty wide open here. Sorry for the delayed switch. I don't know why I wasn't switching, but we got the 1 seed pretty set in stone. It's been like this for a couple weeks now. The Celtics are just by far the best team in this conference, so we're not going to talk about them too much. Congrats to Drew Holiday on the recent extension. I saw that. Good for him getting his bag. But we're not going to talk about the Celtics. We'll get to them more in the playoff prediction. But we'll start with the Bucks here at the 2 seed now. They have not been great recently. They've been losing a couple of games, but they just got a huge win. They've won 2 pretty big games for them. This week. On Tuesday they beat the Celtics, and then yesterday they beat the Magic. 2 huge wins. The Magic were at the 3 seed. If the Magic won that game, there was a real chance the Bucks could drop down. Now it's looking pretty good that they're going to be the 2 seed. Now they still do have to worry about the Knicks. The Cavs could still get them. But as of right now, the Magic, I believe, are out of contention for the 2 seed with them being 3 games back. Both of them only having 2 games left. Now, the Magic and Bucks do play each other, but I don't think it really matters. The Bucks still could drop below the Knicks. I don't think the Cavs are too much of a scare. They do have 3 games left. They do have 2 games left. I meant to say, the Knicks, I think, definitely have a real chance to get up to that 2 seed because they still have 3 games left, and they're only a half game back. Now, if they win this one, go to their next game, and they go to 48-32. They're only a game back of the Bucks. The Knicks play the Celtics though on the road today. That's going to be a huge game. But they're going to need to win if they want to get the 2 seed. But it's looking right now the most likely scenario: the Bucks get the 2. The Knicks play the Nets and the Bulls after. They'll probably take care of business there. The Cavs haven't been playing the best as of late. But they did just take care of business against the Grizzlies. They got a pretty big game coming up against the Pacers. The Pacers need that one. And then they finish off with the Hornets. The Magic. Let's look at the Magic because, like I said, this 3 through 6 in the East has been swapping constantly over the past week or two. And now the Magic have lost 3 of their last 4, so not the direction you want to see them going. And they finish off with a tough schedule. They play the 76ers on the road here, who, not to mention, they still have a chance to get up to the 5, even the 4 seed. So they could definitely make some noise. They're going to need a lot to go their way, but it could happen. 76ers play at home against the Magic, so the Magic are going to have a huge road game, and then they finish off with the Bucks, who are still fighting for that 2 seed. The Magic have one of the tougher schedules. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish as the 5 or 6 seed. And then looking at the Pacers' remaining schedule, they have the Cavs on the road. That's a huge game right there on Friday, tomorrow. And then they play the Hawks at home. They got to take care of business there. The Sixers still trying to get into that top 6 seed range in the East. And there's still a very real chance that they can get there. They're still undefeated with Joel Embiid after him coming back from his injury. Now, they haven't played the best teams as of recently. They played the Grizzlies, Spurs, and Pistons their last 3 games, but they are on a pretty solid win streak here. They've won 6 in a row. And, they finish off with the Magic at home and the Nets at home. they have a really very realistic chance of entering the playoffs in an 8-game win streak, and they could be a scary team to play. Would not want to play them if I'm the Celtics or the Bucks or even the Knicks if they sneak into that 6 seed range. The Heat's still down at the 8 seed, and we know what they can do if they get hot at the right time. They've won. They just lost to the Mavericks at home, but they did beat the Hawks on the road earlier this week. That was a pretty big win for them. They got to take care of business. They got to win these 2 games against the Raptors. They play the Raptors twice to end the season, both at home. They can win both those. They have a chance at getting to the 6 seed. It's not very likely, but it is possible. I mean, technically the 5 seed, I guess, but like I said, not ultra realistic. The Bulls 1.5 game lead over the Hawks. It's looking pretty set in stone there that they are going to host that first 9-10 play-in game, and that's going to be a pretty fun one to watch. And then we got the bottom 5 teams in the East. You know, the Nets and Raptors have been in the play-in, I guess, a lot earlier in the year, but recently, the past month or so, they haven't really been making much noise. And these bottom 3 teams in the East never really, there wasn't really ever a chance for them to be in the playoff picture. They kind of just started off the year down here. So that is all for the East. Now let's get into the West. And I think the West, it's kind of weird that I feel like the East tends to be more like the West, I guess you could say, this year. Well, hold on. Let me just take that back. So I feel like the East tends to have more top heavy, and all the top seeds clinch, and then those bottom teams kind of just fight it out. They're all just not great. The West is usually the deeper conference, but not very top heavy. But weirdly enough, the West is pretty top heavy, but they're also deeper than the East. So the West is just overall the better conference. But with the looming expansion for the NBA, they're probably going to get a team in Vegas. They're probably going to get a team in Seattle. I think Minnesota is probably the most likely team to get moved over to the East. And if that happens, that will definitely make the East better. Speaking of Minnesota, they just played a huge game against Denver. They did lose, so Denver has a 1-game lead for that 1 seed. The Thunder have been kind of beat up recently, so they're sitting at the 3, but they're still 1 game back. They still could definitely get to that 1 line. 2 games left. A lot of things could happen. Now, do I see the Nuggets losing? Probably not. The Nuggets, they have 2 road games, I guess, but they're against the Spurs and the Grizzlies, 2 bottom feeder teams. They should be able to win those. The Nuggets are looking pretty solid here for the 1 seed in the West. Let's look at the Timberwolves. They have 2 home games to finish out the year against the Hawks and the Suns. Both will be pretty tough games. Those are both postseason teams. But, both of them at home, that's a pretty big advantage. The Thunder have 2 tough games. They got, again, they're both home, though, but they do play the Bucks and the Mavericks. Mavericks have been hot recently. The Bucks still needing that to lock up that 2 seed in the East. That could be tough. So, the Nuggets have the 1-game lead. They also have a much easier schedule than both the Timberwolves and the Thunder, so it's looking pretty solid that the Nuggets have secured the 1 seed. But the 2-3, that order there is definitely interesting. I think it could go either way. I'd probably lean towards the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves have the easier schedule. They also have the tiebreaker, so if they do end up with the same record, Timberwolves would get the 2 seed. Now let's look at the 4-5, because this is interesting. So this matchup is already clinched. I guess technically not. I don't know who has the tiebreaker between the Mavericks and Pelicans. If the Pelicans do have it, I guess they could get into that 5 seed range. Maybe, but I think the Mavericks do have it, because I think I've seen that this matchup was locked in here. So we got Clippers Mavericks for I believe the 3rd time in 5 years in the first round. Clippers took the first 2. We'll see how it goes this year. This is definitely tough, because this is a series where I've taken both these teams on a deep run in the playoffs. So them having to play in the first round, in earlier episodes of the series, I've had the Clipper Wolves making the NBA. Did I just say the? I think I just said the Clipper Wolves. Um, I've had the Clippers making the NBA Finals. I've also had the Mavericks making the Western Conference Finals. I believe like 2 episodes ago. That was pretty recent. The Mavericks have been hot. These two teams. That's going to be a great first round series. I still don't know who I'm picking in that one. Now we got the 6 seed, the Pelicans. They did overcome the Suns there in that, 6-7. They've kind of been swapping back and forth recently. The Pelicans do have the edge here, but if they do lose today, they will, I believe, drop back down to 7. I think the Suns have the tiebreaker over them, so that is pretty huge. The Pelicans do have a very tough schedule. They play the Kings on the road, the Warriors on the road, and then the Lakers at home. All teams fighting for position there in the play-in. That's going to be they have a very tough schedule. The Suns play the Kings on the road and the Timberwolves on the road. So both teams incredibly tough schedules. We will see who ends up with the 6th seed. That is a huge advantage. You'd much rather do that than and play the 3 seed than have to win in the play-in and then go up against either the 2 or the 1 seed. So you definitely want that. I feel like I feel like the Pelicans have been the more consistent team this season, so I think I would trust them a little bit more. The Suns, only 2 games left. The Pelicans have 3. Suns, both road games. They both play the Kings, so the Kings, I guess, will have a chance to get into that 6 seed. The Kings could make some noise with a late push. They would have to beat the Suns and the Kings, the Kings would have to beat the Suns and the Pelicans, but they have both those games at home. They also play the Trailblazers at home to finish the year, so I guess there is a chance the Kings get into that 6 seed, but it's not very likely. And then the Lakers and Warriors are locked into the play-in. That's what the yellow means. They can't get into the top 6 teams, but they can't drop out. So they are locked into the play-in. But, still fighting for seeding. The Lakers could get up to the 7 in some weird scenario. The Warriors could get up to the... They can't get up to the 7, so the highest they could get is probably the 8. But again, those would have to be pretty crazy scenarios. I think the Lakers and Warriors will probably end up finishing 9-10. The Lakers may have a chance. I don't think the Warriors really have a chance, though, to get up. They do have 3 games left, though. A lot of these teams only have 2. So I guess there is a chance. The Rockets, they made it interesting for a little bit, but they came up a little bit short this season. And then the Jazz and Grizzlies. Jazz, just not much going on. The Grizzlies been full of injuries. And then the bottom 2 teams in the West. I guess the Spurs have Wembanyama, but the Trailblazers, that first year without Dame, it's always going to be tough. I guess it's their first year of the rebuild, so I guess the future looks promising maybe. I will say Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant have looked pretty solid, but they've also dealt with a lot of injuries. So yeah, let's get in now to the predictions, the playoff seeding, the brackets, if it were to end today with the seedings we have. So let's start off in the West Plane. We're going to start with the 7-8 game, Suns versus Kings now. I've been back and forth on this one, but I'm going to go with the Kings. I'm actually going to take the 8 seed here. I think the Kings are just overall the more complete team. They're better. I think Malik Monk could definitely win 6th Man of the Year. I think he probably will. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis have been amazing. Now, I know the Suns have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker now, and in a one-game scenario, that could be enough. They also have it at home, so this is a pretty bold prediction, but I think the Kings, I just trust them a little more. The Suns have been very inconsistent all year. I don't know. This one's pretty close. I like the Kings coach a little bit better. But it could definitely go either way. I'm 50-50 on that one. Lakers Warriors. We get LeBron versus Curry one last time. I feel like we say that. I feel like I always say that every time they play in the playoffs, and then it keeps on happening. But this might seriously be the last time we see these two in the playoffs play each other. I think LeBron gets them here. I think the Lakers are the more complete team. I don't think the Warriors have an answer for Anthony Davis or LeBron. I don't think the Lakers have an answer for Curry, but the Warriors without Curry aren't anything too scary. D'Angelo Russell's been playing pretty good as of recently. And then we said that sets up a Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. Winner goes to play the Nuggets in the first round as the 8th seed. The loser goes home. I trust LeBron. Give me the Lakers. I had the Lakers not getting the 8th seed last time. I switched up my mind. I think the Lakers would get it here. I just can't trust the Suns. I don't know. They've been very inconsistent this year. So go ahead and give me the Lakers. I'm not too confident about that because, in the West, all 10 of these teams could win a first-round game series if we're being honest. In the East, I think it's a little bit different. I don't think the Bulls or Hawks really could, but the top 8 could definitely win a series in the first round. But the West is just so deep. There's going to be good teams that miss out. That's just the reality of how it plays out. Now we're looking at the East plane. We got the 7-8 Sixers versus Heat. I'm going to go ahead and take Joel Embiid and Maxey. Give me the Sixers here. I'm not going to think too much about that. I know the Heat are solid in the playoffs. I know they're better coached, but I'm going to go ahead and take Joel Embiid. Bulls versus Hawks. I'm going to stick with my pick. I know you're going to call me biased. I think the Bulls would win this one. I think DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Caruso. I think they have enough to slow down Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. The Hawks do have a lot of shooters. If they get hot from 3, they're going to be a really hard team to beat. They've beaten the Bulls like that many times this season. But I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to take the Bulls. I think they're more well-rounded, and I trust their players a little bit more than the Hawks, but that could definitely go either way. But I'm going to end up taking the Heat to beat whoever comes out of that 9-10 game in the East anyway. I'm going to go ahead and take the Heat to get to that 8th seed. I just trust them in the playoffs. They're too well coached. They're good, too defensively sound. Give me Jimmy Butler. Give me Bam Adebayo. Give me Eric Spoelstra in a winner-go-home game there. Now we're going back over to the West, the 1 versus 8. A Western Conference Finals rematch from last year. The 1-seeded Denver Nuggets taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think this could be a similar story to last year. I think the Nuggets are going to win. I think they're better. I don't think the Lakers have enough. The Nuggets are just too good in the playoffs. You can't bet against Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. You just can't. I think the Lakers winning. I don't think the Lakers would get swept. I'll go in 6. I think the Lakers could make it interesting. But I'm not going to fall into the trap of taking the Lakers to make it far. I kind of already have with them getting here. I'm not going to take them to beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets are just too solid, too well-rounded, too complete, too well-coached. Now this 4-5 game, this is the hardest game to pick, in my opinion, in the entire playoffs. I'm not even kidding. I have a tougher time picking this series than I do picking my NBA champion. This series is so even, and I feel like it's whoever's going to get the higher seed in the series is going to win. It's Kawhi Leonard and Paul George versus Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, the star power in this game. Not to mention James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has been amazing this season. I love what he's doing off the bench there for the Clippers. Norman Powell off the bench too has been amazing. Both these teams are very deep. I'm going to trust the Clippers a little bit more. I'm going to say the Clippers in 7. They have the home court. I think they're more well-rounded. I think they're more complete. Both these teams have a very serious, 1-2 punch with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George for the Clippers, Luka and Kyrie for the Mavericks. The Mavericks have been hot recently, I know that. But the Clippers are going to have the home court advantage. I think they defend better than the Mavericks do. And I think that comes back to bite them. Both these teams are very deep. I think I think the Clippers are a little bit more deep They have a little bit more depth than the Mavericks do, and I think that in the playoffs you don't really. I guess you don't really need depth, but you still need at least 7 to 8 guys that can play solid minutes. I think the Clippers have better 1 through 8 than the Mavericks. Gonna go ahead and take the Clippers, but that one's 50-50. Both those teams are gonna be a tough game, a tough series for the Nuggets in that second round. Thunder Pelicans. This is an interesting one. Zion and Brandon Ingram taking on SGA and Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. I'm going to go ahead and take the Thunder, but this would be a fun series. I would love to see this series in the first round. I think this could definitely get interesting. Going to trust the Thunder, though. I know they're young, but, I mean, they play very well. They defend, they shoot the ball, they score. I mean, I know they're a young team, but they're very well coached, and I'm going to trust SGA to get through in the first round. I'll take the Thunder in 6. Then moving on to the Timberwolves Kings. I think the Kings could definitely make this one interesting, but I think the Timberwolves defensively just overwhelm them a little bit. They got Rudy Gobert in the middle to slow down Sabonis. I think Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels can handle De'Aaron Fox. I think they can handle a lot of the Kings' big wings and their big shooters. I think the Timberwolves just match up pretty well here. Gonna take the Timberwolves in 6. Actually, I'm gonna take the Timberwolves in. I'll go in 6. No, I'll go in 5. I think they just match up too well here, and I can't have. I guess I could have all these series in the West going more than 6 games, but I feel like that's just not realistic. But the Kings are. I'm gonna take the Timberwolves in 5. I think they just match up a little too well here. Celtics versus Heat, the 1 versus 8. We got a rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals. Both 1 versus 8s are a rematch of each respective conferences conference finals from last year. That's kind of interesting. And I think, in the West I had the same outcome. I think in the East it's going to be a different outcome. I'm going to take the Celtics in 6. I think, no, in 5. I don't think, the Celtics are just too good. And I know the Heat bring it come playoff time, but, I mean, are they really going to do it again? I don't think so. I think the Celtics are complete. Now, I know they haven't been able to get over that hump. They've been, they've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe maybe 3 of the last 4 seasons. They made it to the NBA Championship, and lost to the Warriors in 2022. They've been so close, and I think they'll definitely be able to win at least in the first round, but probably more, just looking at how this bracket is setting up for them. Now we got the 4-seeded Cavs taking on the 5-seeded Magic, and this one would be fun, but I think this is pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cavs. I just think the Magic are just so young. Paolo's been amazing, but the Cavs match up really well. I mean, Evan Mobley is going to be a nightmare matchup for Paolo Banchero. I mean, he is one of the best defenders in the league, and he's bigger than him. They also got Jared Allen, who could be in conversations for DPOY. And then, again, the Magic don't have an answer for Donovan Mitchell. I guess Jalen Suggs, he's probably going to make a all-defensive team this season. But, I don't know. I think the Cavs have too much. I'm going to take the Cavs in 5 here. Then we got the Knicks versus Pacers. This would be a fun series. Jalen Brunson and company versus the number 1 offense in the league, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, all of them. This would be a huge game. Now, no Julius Randle for the rest of the season. That is a huge loss. I'm going to go ahead and still take the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, in my opinion, has been the best guard, the best point guard in the East this season. And I don't think that's crazy to say. I mean, name me a point guard who has been better. I mean, you look at all these teams. For the Celtics, I don't think Drew Holiday has been better. For the Heat, Tyler Hero, is that their point guard? Who I don't even know. I can't think of anyone on the Heat. The Darius Garland's not been better than Jalen Brunson. For the Magic, I don't even know who's their starting point guard. Is it Jalen Suggs? He's not been better than Jalen Brunson. Tyrese Halliburton's been close, but I don't think he's been better than Jalen Brunson. Damian Lillard's close. Tyrese Maxey's close, but again, in my opinion, Jalen Brunson has been the best point guard in the Eastern Conference this season. I'm going to trust him. I think they get it done. I think this would go all 7 games, but I think the Pacers just being a little too one-sided comes back to bite him here. Now we got the Bucks versus 76ers. Doc Rivers versus former team. Joel Embiid is back and healthy. This one would go all 7 games. I'm telling you right now, this would be a phenomenal first-round matchup. The 76ers are a matchup nightmare for either the Celtics or Bucks, whoever they end up playing against, or if they end up as the 6th seed, they're going to be a tough out in the first round, no matter who they play, just because of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. I'm going to take the Bucks, but I'm not confident about it. I'm taking them in 7, but I do worry just because of it being Doc Rivers. He's known for not doing the best in the playoffs. That does scare me. I'm going to take the Bucks, though. I think they've just been the better team this season. I'm going to trust them to get it done. So, a little chalky here. Ooh, this is a lot of chalk. I guess the play-in, well, even in the East, the play-in was chalky. The West, I had the 9 seed, I guess, and the 8 seed, but this is pretty chalky. My apologies, but I mean, the NBA playoffs tends to be more chalky than not. So, I don't know. This is just how I see it playing out. We'll get to it in a little. Nuggets Clippers 1 versus 4 here. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray taking on Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden. I do think the Nuggets would get it done. The Clippers are going to be tough defensively, obviously. They're going to be tough to slow down. This is a pretty tough matchup for the Nuggets. I think the Clippers would be a harder matchup than the Mavericks would. Maybe not, though, because who's going to stop Luka? I don't know, but the Clippers just have a lot of well-rounded talent. I honestly think if there's any team to beat the Nuggets in the West, I think it would be the Clippers. Maybe the Timberwolves. But I just can't go against them. They're the 1 seed for a reason. They won it last year. Jokic is just unstoppable. He's probably going to win his 3rd MVP this season. I mean, he is just ridiculous. Now looking at the 2 versus 3 in the West, Minnesota taking on OKC. I'm going to trust the more experienced team. I'm going to take the Timberwolves. Thunder, I think they can win a first-round series, but with them being the 3 seed, going up against the Timberwolves, the number 1 defense in the league, with them being a young team, I think the Timberwolves get them. This would be a fun series, but I think it would go all 7 games, actually. But the Timberwolves have the home court advantage. I'm going to take them to get to the Western Conference Finals. Now looking at the East, we got the 1 versus 4 Celtics taking on the Cavaliers. Going to take the Celtics. I just think I don't see any team coming out of the East besides the Celtics, if I'm being honest with you. I know that's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, they clinched the 1 seed before any team in the West even clinched a playoff berth. I mean, think about that. They clinched the 1 seed in their conference before any team in the league clinched a playoff berth. That is ridiculous. I believe they're the 3rd best net rating team of all time. This team is ridiculous. Give me the Celtics in 5. I think they get it done over the Cavs. Now looking at the last second-round matchup, Bucks, the 2-seeded Bucks taking on the 3-seeded Knicks. Now, with no Julius Randle here, I don't think the Knicks would have enough. Jalen Brunson is great and all, but I don't think he's enough to get past the Bucks. I think he could win them a game or 2. I'll go with the Bucks in 6. The Knicks are a very good team. OG Anunoby maybe could give Dame or Chris Middleton some problems, but who's going to stop Giannis with no Julius Randle? I don't see a world where the Bucks lose that series. I think the Bucks have a harder series against the Sixers than I think against the Knicks. But that sets up a 1 versus 2 in both conferences. A little chalky, I know. This is honestly the most chalk I've ever done in one of these. I just think these are the best teams. If I had to rate in each conference, I think I would go for the best teams. I would probably go Nuggets, Timberwolves, Clippers, Thunder. That would be my 4. And then in the East, I would probably go Celtics. Well, I'd probably go Celtics, Bucks, Knicks, Cavs, maybe the 76ers, but I don't know. I just and then if I had to go my top two, I would go Nuggets, Timberwolves, and I would go Celtics, Bucks. And then if I had to give my best team in East Conference, I'm gonna take the one seeds in both conference. I know it's chalky. I kind of spoiled the Celtics. I just don't see a world where any team stops them in the East. I don't see a world where any team besides the Celtics gets out of the Eastern Conference. I can see a world where the Nuggets lose to the Clippers. Maybe they lose to the Timberwolves there. Maybe the Mavericks, maybe the Lakers shock them. No, I don't think that, but maybe the Mavericks get them with Luka just being ridiculous. I don't know. I can see a world where the Nuggets don't come out of the West, but I just trust them the most out of any team in the West. And yeah, like I don't know. The fact that I can't see it. I think the Nuggets would beat the Timberwolves. And that defense is worrisome for me. I think that could be a matchup problem. I'm gonna go Nuggets in six though. They're just more experienced. They're better coached, in my opinion. They'll have the home court. And who's beating the Nuggets at home? They barely ever lose at home. Same with the Celtics. I mean, I know Giannis. We've seen him win it before, and he definitely could. We've seen Doc Rivers win a championship before, and the Celtics have been known recently to be, not over the hump. But I just think they're the best team in this league. I've been saying this since after the first month in the NBA season. I've picked the Celtics to win it all every single time, and I gotta stick with that. I'm taking the Celtics to win it all. I think they would beat the Bucks in six. Then I think they would go out there. They would have the home court advantage over the Nuggets in this one, I believe. And I think I think they would beat the Nuggets. I really do. They're well coached. Both these teams very well coached, well experienced. But the Celtics, I think, are just the more complete team. Now I know Jokic is going to be a problem. But like I said, I picked the Celtics since, maybe since the first month of the NBA season. And I think they're the best team. I think they get their 18th, I believe it would be 18th championship in franchise history. I'll go Celtics in 7. I think the Nuggets could take it to all 7 games, but I think the Celtics, this is their year that they finally get over the hump. I'm telling you right now, I think it's Boston. I think they get it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 13 of NBA Playoff Watch. I'm gonna try to get maybe one more video this week. We'll see. Probably not one tomorrow. If there is one, it's gonna be either Saturday or Sunday. Going over the final day or two seeding races. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, and MLB. Turn on the notice to make sure you don't miss when we upload. As always, Discord X linked in the description. Join that, follow that. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another video before our NBA playoff prediction video. But we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Follow X for any updates I have on there. And yeah, I'll see you guys